All right, welcome back, everybody. We had a short break there. Let's see, what a day. Just absolutely amazing. Tom's session was so great, that last one. Let me take a look here and see. I want to make sure that we have folks coming into the session. If you can, throw me some emojis. Do that thing. Yes, we see you. William's back, or Adam. Adam is back. Oh, you changed your name. I see that there. That is great. All right. Nicole D. There's Don. There's Keegan. Back for more fun. Jennifer, you're all in. All right. Let me take a look. And excellent. All right. So we have another session. And Mark, you know what? I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Is it just Stoecker or?
Close. Stecker.
Stecker. Marc Stoecker. Mark has been you've been around TLDC for a few years now. And Mark is a senior training designer and facilitator and certified life coach who provides custom workshop and course development and career and wellness coaching through his company, Prism of Purpose Coaching and Training. He runs a bi-weekly ideation/mastermind facilitated group on Fridays. And let's see, I am going to go ahead, Mark, and post your LinkedIn profile in chat.
Thank you, sir.
That folks can connect with you there. And Mark is going to be talking about conjuring creativity for your leadership training. And with that, Mark, I'll let you take over. I'm going to hide myself from the screen, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you got to say.
Great. Thank you. Stand by one moment while I get my screen ready to go. And we'll get rolling. Okay, great. So you should be able to see my screen now. If you could just give a hands up or something like that. And Luis, if you wouldn't mind just doing audio confirmation if I don't see the emojis. Can you all hear me?
Yep, you're good to go. Sounds
okay,
great. You look great. All good.
Okay, thanks a lot. So as Luis mentioned, welcome to the Conjuring Creativity for Your Leadership Training. Again, my name is Marc Stoecker. I'm a training designer and certified life coach. So I have a few quick questions I'd like to ask, and please respond in the chat. How many of you are training developers? How about leaders? And how many of you have played D&D or have played D&D? I'm not seeing the chat, just Luis, so you know. So I'm going on faith that folks responded to one or more of the above. So let's move on. Today, we're going to look at archetypes or player characters as role models, leadership values or character traits for effectiveness, and storytelling or the D&D adventure that inspires and activates curiosity. For archetypes, D&D player characters represent archetypical roles that can serve as leadership models, and leaders can embody the quality of archetypes in their roles. And there's also a real benefit of integrating leadership values and character traits into D&D inspired training, because what it does is it aligns leadership values with similar to D&D alignment concepts such as neutral good, which can shape ethical and values-based leadership, and with storytelling, such as within the D&D adventure, which we all love, that can spark curiosity by immersing participants in a narrative-rich environment. So typically, creativity is ignited when leaders explore complex narratives, ethical dilemmas, and creative solutions. Any thoughts or questions about these inquiries before we move on? Okay, then let's take a deeper dive into the treasures that each of these have to offer. So to address the first question, how can I leverage archetypes for my leadership training as role models? As most of you likely know, having had played D&D or from what you learned from the other sessions at this conference, you have player characters whose roles you step into as you play the game, such as a cleric, a ranger, a wizard, etc. And learning roles for training can also be based on archetypes. An archetype is a universally recognized symbol, theme, or character that appears repeatedly in myths, literature, folklore, and more across culture and time periods. And leveraging archetypes, particularly player characters, as role models and muses for leadership training can really be a creative and effective approach to inspiring and educating leaders. So let's conjure up a step-by-step method on how to do this. So you want to, for example, identify relevant archetypes. You want to choose archetypes that are relevant to the leadership qualities and attributes you want to emphasize in your training. For example, you might select the hero, sage, or mentor archetypes. And that, as it relates to D&D, that could be a wizard with high intelligence and or charisma, or a valiant paladin. So let me ask the question. Which archetypes on the screen do you connect with as an effective training vessel, and why? Because I can't see the chat, maybe you can come off of mute, or Louise, if you don't mind reading some of the responses, that would be helpful.
Yeah, let's see here. What do we got? We got Nick Jones is saying explorer. Anybody else? Peter says explorer. Thea says rebel and caregiver. Nice.
Interesting.
Great. Anybody else? Let's see. Let's type it in there. Jester or outlaw from Adam. Jason saying everyman. Love it.
Just to add on to that, I'm just wondering why, maybe just type a quick response as to why you chose those, in addition to which ones you chose.
Natalie saying could go villain for extra motivation. Yeah, and if you can put your why in, would love to hear it. Just a quick jot down there in chat.
Yeah, I mean, that maybe, to her point, maybe it's she wants to play the role of the controlling CEO, or the anxious boss. So there's some room for that for some of the scenarios.
So Thea is saying caregiver equals leader supporting their directs. Rebel equals fearless learners. Nick is following up with, for explorer, learning is about connecting new ideas to prior experiences and uncovering new connections. Krista added caregiver. Peter saying explorer to help encourage others to do the same. Don is saying caregiver, connections with other characters and motivations, always seen as the one to turn to maternally. And Jason saying everyman, how information from SMEs applies to those who will do the day-to-day work. Love it. Adam saying jester, I love using humor to teach or soften tough feedback. And outlaw pushes learners to explore why bad choices are bad.
That's amazing. I love it. Thanks for sharing that, everyone. And thanks for reading those off, Louise.
Yeah.
So we also can select appropriate stories. You just all gave some great examples. You also want to pick relevant stories and characters. So you want to find stories, characters, or examples from D&D lore, mythology, movies, or even real life examples that embody the selected archetypes for your training. Again, you want to make sure that the stories are relatable to the leadership context. You also want to analyze the archetypes, maybe explore the characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses, similar to how you have a character sheet in Dungeons and Dragons with different attributes like wisdom, strength, dexterity. And they could be literal or maybe metaphorical, like dexterity might translate to adaptability or creativity. As a coach, quick aside, I took the Strength Finder, and that's when you take 34 of your strengths. And my top strengths, for example, are empathy and ideation. Imagine if you had a training where leaders took something like the Strength Finder, and it could be adapted into like a D&D type role-playing game, but actually use an assessment tool like that as part of the training. Creating scenarios or case studies, that's something that I think as instructional designers, we all appreciate. So developing scenarios that reflect leadership challenges and integrate elements of the chosen archetypes that you see on the screen into those scenarios. For example, you could have a scenario where the hero archetype must make a critical decision. So let me ask you a question. Which case studies or adventures can you see as most effective to use in this type of training, and why?
All right, so Michael Chapman is saying, I teach a leadership program that uses the Strengths Finder as the cornerstone experience.
Nice. Any others, folks?
Anybody else? Which case studies or adventures can you see as most effective to use in this type of training, and why?
Yeah. Invoke the hero and put something in the chat. And if not, that's okay too. We can go on.
Right.
I'll just think you're rogue and you're hiding in the shadows. That's all. Okay, so you can also facilitate discussion. You can ask questions like, how can we apply resilience of the hero to our leadership roles? You can reflect on personal leadership styles. You can have participants reflect on their own leadership styles and consider what qualities, like archetypal qualities, align with their strengths and areas for improvement, going back to the Strength Finder, for example. And what I like about that is it helps encourage self-awareness and self-assessment. And that helps to guide the learner, to become a more effective leader. Let me ask one more question before we move on to the next section. What other benefits can you see from reflecting on personal leadership styles for this type of training?
It's a good question. What other benefits can you see from reflecting on? Nice one, Adam. Adam saying highlighting gaps in their own style.
Nice. Yeah. As people are typing, I'd like to offer something. They say that when you really connect with something that a leader does or a mentor does, most likely you have that strength or attribute within yourself, and maybe it hasn't fully developed yet. Kind of going back to Strength Finder and developing and finding out more of your strengths.
Right. Adam added, or even spotlighting those that can help fill your personal gaps.
Nice. That starts to lean into mentorship a little bit.
Right.
Any other comments or thoughts before we move on?
Not seeing anything.
Okay. Then they just mentioned a couple other quick ones, group discussions, highlighting how your learners have applied archetypical qualities to leadership roles, storytelling, feedback and evaluation is, helpful. Collecting feedback from your participants, on the effectiveness of the training. You can enhance it and iterate it even more. You can have continuous learning opportunities to continually explore and apply archetypal insights in their leadership journey. And just to close up, I'll just say that using archetypes as role models and muses in leadership training, what it does is it can make the learning experience more engaging, relatable, and memorable. And what it does is it allows participants to draw inspiration from timeless and universal narratives. Again, that's what archetypal is about. These are cross cultures, they're universal themes. And again, some of these are present in D&D, in my opinion. But this is another parallel type of set of themes that you can use in your training. And that allows your participants to gain practical insights for effective leadership. Okay. So now it's time to play and use some improv skills for 5 minutes in breakout rooms. So we're gonna attempt this. What you're going to do is you're going to split into either threes or pairs if that won't work. But you're going to pick an archetype from the list here, one of your favorites or one you maybe want to try out, and prepare to role play based on one of the following choose your own adventure options. Option 1, you're a leader talking to your direct report and you need to break some bad news to them. However, there is a silver lining. Or you're a leader who is preparing for a presentation and needs to elicit some advice on how to be more effective based on their past performance. Or you can really choose your own adventure and lean into your creativity and inspiration based on the archetype you choose.
Okay, repeat those again, Mark.
Sure, and I can't really put them in the chat. Sorry about that. But yeah, so the first one is you're a leader talking to a direct report. You need to break bad news, but there is a silver lining. The second one is you're a leader preparing for a presentation and you need some advice on how to be more effective based on your past performance. And then the third one, when you choose which archetype you want to embody, is choose your own adventure and lean into your own unique scenario based on what you and the participant agree upon.
All right, so we haven't done breakouts much using this interface before. I have the initial count of participants per room. We're going to go with 3, right? And hopefully everybody is cool with this. We're going to try it. Let's see what happens. Okay, 8 breakout rooms are saved. I don't know exactly if anybody can hear us. And it looks like people are split. Okay, so I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. Let's see here. Good. There we go.
An instance up. But
Okay, we're back, everybody. Let's see. Let me just make sure. That was actually the first time we've run breakouts in this interface since a long time ago. So it looks like, yeah, and Don's saying, and we're back. Okay, great.
Okay, so
all right, Mark, I'll let you take it away.
Thanks, Luis, and thank you for playing with the breakout room. And you all too, thank you for being open to do that. So how'd the conversation go? What are some of the learnings and the you experienced and some of your thoughts after having been in the breakout rooms? If you could type in the chat, please. Just curious if the role playing, was smooth, or it took a little while to kind of get connected to the archetypes, or was the preference maybe to think of D&D characters instead of archetypes, etc.? Anything anyone wants to offer on that?
Mark, mention again just those three topics that you had suggested.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Carol. That's good feedback. This is an iterative process, as you know, some of these trainings are. So, but to your point, Luis, to your request, I mean, the 3 were you're a leader talking to your direct report and you need to break some bad news to them. However, there is a silver lining. You're a leader who's preparing for a presentation and needs to elicit some advice on how to be more effective based on their past performance. Or you got the option to choose your own adventure and lean into your creativity and inspiration. Okay. Nice, Krista. Mock disciplinary. I saw, Dawn, your comment there. That's funny. That's a great insight, considering the point of view. When I read the words mock disciplinary, I think of backhanded compliment for some reason. That's a great point, Jason. Yeah. It's like they say, just to go to popular culture, Thanos thought he was doing the right thing by eliminating half of, the population of the universe from his point of view. So,
I'm going to go ahead and read that out loud, though, for Jason. With Jason's takeaway, different types will handle situations in different, but different. Oops, sorry, but different doesn't mean one is right and another is wrong.
No, thank you for that. Yeah, I should have read the whole response.
No biggie.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that, folks. Let's move on to the next part. And stand by 1 second. Okay. So let's quest on to leadership values and training and how they can be leveraged as well. Huzzah. That's my attempt at being medieval. So the next part is about how can leadership values factor into my training to make it more effective. So when you incorporate leadership values, including character traits and alignment concepts like chaotic good into your leadership training, it really can add some quality depth and moral context to your program and help your learners better understand the ethical and the values-based dimensions and decisions of leadership. As a coach, sometimes I do coach leaders, for example, and values-based coaching comes up a lot. It's about boundaries, it's about values, and that can be transferable into the type of training you give and help inspire your learners with. The next couple of slides will offer how you can factor these elements into your training and make it more effective. So a couple quick examples. I'm not going to read it verbatim, but alignment exploration, again, introducing the concept of alignment with your leaders, chaotic good from D&D, for example, their alignment system. You could use this as a way to how leaders can have varying moral compasses, similar to Jason's point earlier, and approaches to leadership. You want to have your participants explore which alignment best describes their leadership style and why. Another one is group discussions, where you can explore alignment and value choices of fictional and even real life leaders, and then you analyze how their actions align with the values or alignment they've identified about themselves. Another one I liked is the role-playing decision-making exercises, similar to what we talked about before with scenario-based activities. That's where your participants have to make choices based on their alignments and values this time, and they discuss the consequences of those decisions as they relate to leadership ethics. Let me ask a question. Which one of these elements resonates with you the most as a doorway into exploring leadership values, and why? So again, which one of these resonates with you the most as a doorway into exploring leadership values, and why? Any feedback or thoughts on that so far?
See, keeping an eye on chat. Dawn saying, not sure she understands the question. Yeah, go over that one more time.
Oh, sure. Just asking if one of these techniques for eliciting, values-based activities, discussions, do you think is probably one of the most effective for exploring leadership values? Which one of these allows the participants, do you think, to explore their leadership values most effectively? I mean, define leadership values is pretty, literal, but maybe looking at alignment exploration might be a good option, for example.
And the question is, which one speaks is the most? Wait, say what was the question one more time?
Oh, which one resonates with the attendees the most?
I see. Let's see. Don saying role playing in a scenario is very helpful. Peter saying discussing case studies. And Nick is saying, I'd want to base a role playing scenario off of a real world case. Can we combine them?
No, of course. Yes, I would say yeah. And that
Jason,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Now, this is kind of a segue, so I was just going to let you finish up that thought if you don't mind.
Oh, it's okay. No, I was going to read off Jason, who's also added role playing and decision making exercise would help give insight to an employee as to why a manager says, does, or says slash does something, or makes slash made a decision. Yes, totally agree.
And then just a follow-up question, do you see any potential pitfalls or rewards from any of these techniques?
Adam just added alignment exploration definitely has some gears spinning, just trying to figure out what that looks like on a practical professional level or profession level.
Yeah, and again, part of that would be as a way to discuss how leaders have varying moral compasses. So, like chaotic good versus lawful good, just that little tweak might inform how they show up as a leader, their leadership style, and why they do what they do.
Cool.
But I think it's a shade of like values, beliefs. I think alignments, they're all kind of intermingle related in some ways.
Let me read off a couple here. Don is saying lots, mainly if it goes off the rails or borrows too many specifics or instances if not couched in a what if. Let me show that on stage just because it's a good one. Lots, mainly if it goes off the rails or borrows too many specifics or instances if not couched in a what if. And then Peter added pitfalls. The scenarios must be relatable to make sense for the discussion group.
Yes, and definitely. Otherwise, you can lose people, especially if you have the tropes of fantasy, and if you're using D&D or archetypes or the values. I think is part of a lot of leadership training. But again, if you have a fantastic story but it doesn't have guidance or learning objectives, etc., then that can go off the rails. To your point. Okay, let's move on to the next part. I love the idea of having guest speakers, possibly a high-level speaker or leader. How many of you have had that, done training where you've had someone in upper management come and participate? So basically a high-level leader who you've gotten buy-in for your live class or pre-recorded their video, especially if they demonstrate strong leadership values and ethical alignment in their careers. Their real-world experiences can offer practical insights. A few other ones that I like here are the going back to ethics, presenting ethical dilemmas where it requires them to apply their leadership values and alignment, like we just talked about, in a complex situation. It encourages group discussions and potential solutions. Another one I like is the debates and scenarios. And that's when you have debates or scenario discussions where participants take on the roles of leaders from different values and alignments. Maybe even if they've identified their neutral good, maybe they try out the chaotic neutral, alignment. And that can foster deep understanding of diverse leadership styles. A big part of coaching is understanding empathy and nonviolent communication, and these are outside concepts of D&D but can be incorporated into the training. But there's probably a one-to-one transfer with some of the D&D elements as well. So I think that by doing research on things like positive psychology and nonviolent communication, et cetera, you can find some nuggets there that are relevant to your training if you want to do something D&D related. Any thoughts or comments on any of these listed? Or any?
Peter had a comment here. Peter says, when I suggested a CEO video intro at an older company for a new hire onboarding, the response was, he's a bit busy to do that.
Yeah, unfortunately, some cultures or preferences, that's the case. I mean, that's a whole other topic, but yeah, just being able to get buy-in by leadership. There could be a whole training on that. So,
true.
Any other thoughts or comments? Okay. Then we'll move on to the final one here. A few others, things like continuous evaluations to help gauge the learner's understanding of values and alignment and ability to apply them to a leadership context, also having a mechanism for recognition and accountability. So basically, when you integrate the leadership values and alignment concepts in your training, you help them develop a deeper understanding of the moral dimensions of leadership. And this can lead to more ethical, principled, and effective leaders who make decisions aligned with their values and who positively impact their organizations and teams. Let me ask you a question. Do you have any other thoughts on leadership values, alignment, or any of the items on the screen now or what we've covered? Any final thoughts on values? And I think moral frameworks is something that can be useful as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Some of the examples that I found in the research are utilitarianism, virtue ethics. So there's some philosophical underpinnings, other values. So it's kind of a deep dive to give a richer kind of connection to values and alignment, character alignment. Okay. Well, we're going to move on from values, and now the final topic is how can storytelling and the D&D adventure, or the D&D adventure inspire and activate curiosity as an effective leadership training tool. Using D&D adventure or storytelling strategy as a leadership training tool can be a creative and effective way to inspire and activate curiosity among participants. So guess what? It's time to choose a path. Which character would you like to choose to be bestowed knowledge of a specific set of adventure tools? Will it be Valerius, the chaotic good, brave, and cunning fighter? Or Aloysius, the lawful, neutral, swift, and wise ranger? Or Nimbus, the lawful, good, intuitive, and powerful druid? If you wouldn't mind, Louise, taking a poll and see which one the audience would like to choose out of these adventurers.
Okay, let's see. I guess. Well, let me. You want me to? I can create a poll, I guess.
Oh, great. Okay, I didn't think.
So, which adventurer would you like to choose? Hang on, everybody. Would you like to choose? All right, I will type as fast as I can. Okay, we got Valerius. We got Aloysius. One more. Nimbus. I love your art for this. I think I told you that before. Okay, so I'm going to show poll results and publish. Okay, everybody. Oh, there we go. Looks like we got one vote for Nimbus so far. I don't know if you can see this. Oh, yeah, you can see this, right, Mark?
No, I can't actually.
You're not seeing it on screen?
No, I'm afraid. No, I just see my screen. That's something I'll play with next time.
Oh, okay.
The room itself.
Well, it looks like Nimbus is the winner.
Nice. Okay. Nimbus it is. We're going to double click on Nimbus and see what we get. Okay. So you've chosen Nimbus, who seeks the beacon of truth searing in the Tower of Lost Souls. After forging through the various rooms, using magic detection to find the prize and vanquishing foul beast, set on delivering fatal blows and mediocre training, you rise successful. Here's the knowledge you seek to help your leadership training, and boy, is it a treasure trove. Things like complex characters. We talked a little bit about that, but you really want to develop rich and complex characters when you develop the training with really diverse backgrounds, different motivations. I know in some training, there's a way of making character sheets or personas. You want to encourage your participants to really explore these characters and make decisions based on their understanding of them. We talked a little bit about decision-making scenarios, that will challenge your leaders' problem-solving skills, encourage them to explore various options while being in character. Quests and challenges. In addition to quests, you can have puzzles that require your participants to use their critical thinking skills and curiosity to find solutions, which can be critical skills in leadership. and that keeps them engaged and eager to explore the story even more. You have problem-solving discussions. That's after each challenge or quest, you facilitate group discussions, and your learners can reflect on their decisions, explore alternative solutions, kind of like peeking at the other path in Choose Your Own Adventure books, and encourage curiosity by asking open-ended questions. You can explore consequences, and you can suspend judgment. So creating a safe and non-judgeable environment. Not everybody may be comfortable with this type of content, but creating, again, that safe and non-judgeable environment is important. And during coaching, for example, we do something called Design the Alliance, and that can be applicable here, some form of that, saying this is a safe space, this is a space where it's confidential, if that's the case in your environment, and that provides a supportive theme that permeates through the training. And then finally, well, not finally, but another one of the main ones that I like is gamifying the experience. So incorporating game elements such as rewards, achievements, and even competition to make it more interactive and engagement. And that can fuel even more curiosity. A few of the things for the story is having guest storytellers, in addition to having the dungeon master, incorporating creativity and innovation, and then some follow-up activities. So basically using storytelling and D&D adventures and leadership training can ignite participants' curiosity, enhance their decision-making skills, and provide a memorable and immersive learning experience. It offers a unique and enjoyable way to explore leadership concepts and challenges, making the training even more effective and engaging. Let's pause for one more group discussion on archetypes and player characters as role models, leadership values, and storytelling. Any final thoughts on how you see yourself using these elements in your training, leadership focused or otherwise? So if anyone has any final thoughts on any of those three categories, archetypes / player characters, values, or storytelling, this would be the time to add any final thoughts in the chat.
You don't want to say, Mark, really fascinating. You put a lot of work into these slides.
I put a little work into them, yes.
I mean, is there any chance that you go over the other characters too, like just a little bit, like Aloysius and
I had a feeling that might be requested. I can share what I'll tell you what. Let me go back and I'll do that. There's not. Yeah. So Aloysius also seeks the beacon of true saying in the high chamber of Crestivian's keep, and he was vanquishing foul beasts and again delivering the fatal blows of mediocre training. And the outcome was a little bit different in terms of the elements I focused on, but primarily it's very similar. And then the other one, of course, was the lion, and that was Valerius in the depths of Gres-Lemore dungeon. And again, fatal blows and mediocre training, and some of the other tropes that I talked about, exploration of consequences, suspending judgment, etc.
Love it.
Yeah.
So let me tell Mark, Adam added, even without getting buy-in from others, I could apply some of these concepts on a personal level to help me identify with my peers and leaders, foster my own understanding. I do want to mention Tom's session right before yours covered some similar ground. I think it's a great sort of companion session to something like this.
Great.
It was really, really, really fascinating.
Thank you. Then I'll just add that Noble Adventures we've worked through, had spirited discussion about, and ultimately completed quest of these three inquiries. But before we disband, any inquiries before I share my final slide with my contact information, if that's with your permission, Louise?
Yeah, absolutely. That was Peter's request. Is the deck shareable at all? and added beautiful presentation materials. Really was fantastic. You had shown me your the art that you had and shared that with me, and I think I mentioned before, just gorgeous stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I mean, full disclosure, I went through artist on Fiverr. He's from Pakistan. He does beautiful work. If anyone ever wants to, if you're interested in seeing his work, I can, however we follow up, I'm happy to email that. He really does nice work, and it wasn't that expensive. It was actually quite reasonable based on what he produced, I thought. So
that's lovely.
The other graphics were from Unsplash. So
okay, very nice. So talk a little bit about Prism of Purpose.
Sure. So Prism of Purpose is an LLC that is a newer LLC. Pretty much I've started my own company. I design, develop, and facilitate training. I've been a trainer for about 20 years. I have a background in instructional design. I've developed e-learning, facilitated sessions like this one. I'm also a 3-time certified coach. So in addition to training, design, development, facilitation, I also do one-on-one coaching and cohort coachings. And primarily I do some speaking engagements as well, like this as well. So what I'm hoping to do is to continue to do one-on-one coaching and those group sessions, but also continue to develop innovative solution-based training that leans into my ideation skill set and technology skill set.
Fantastic. All right. Yeah, and I know we met through Craig Seibert. It must have been a few years ago now. Yeah. So you've definitely been around TLDC for a while. And Marc, so thank you so much for doing this and sharing with us and being part of this event. Really, really glad that that you're here. And yeah, and everybody, if you want to get a hold of Marc, his contact information was up there a little bit ago. We can drop the his LinkedIn profile too in chat in a bit. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close out the session. We've got a few more still left today. It's just amazing. The next one is with Christy Kittle, Neurodiversity in the Guild, crafting learning experiences for all adventurers. And then after that, Christy Tucker is up, level up your e-learning, character creation for scenario-based learning. And then we're closing out the day with Tristan Sylvester talking about XAPI and D&D. How is that even possible? I don't know. You'll have to come and join us to see. So yeah, there she is. There's Tristan. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. We've got a short break and then we'll be back for the next one. Marc, once again, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody soon.
Thank you. Happy to share the slides and come back and connect on LinkedIn with you folks. Thank you, Louise.